Hey, in today's code experiments, you will learn some tricks about modules. That will give you a better understanding of how Python works. The experiment we want to run is pretty straightforward. I want you to go to functions.py where we have defined our functions. And below the functions, somewhere down here, just print something like hello from functions. So this has to be outside of the function definitions. You see, it's unindented. Then I'd like you to go to main.py where we import functions, that module, and run main.py. Then in the command line here, in the output, what you'll see is hello from functions. So with this experiment, what I wanted to show you is that when you import a module from another module, and then you run the module where that module is imported, so when you run main.py, this script is executed when that script is imported. So the module is executed at these points in here. To illustrate it with another example, I'll stop this and go back to functions and introduce an error here. Instead of printing out a string, I'll print out something like x. X is not defined, so this will cause an error. So now I want to go back to main.py, run again. And this is what we get. The error first started at this line 2 in main.py. So that is this line in here. So this line actually tries to execute functions.py. So it tries to execute that, and then if we trace the error, it says that in line 16 in file functions.py, line 16 is this one, we have a name error. X is not defined. So why did I introduce this error? Well, that was another way to demonstrate that when an import operation happens, it executes functions.py or wherever file you are importing. This is important to know because sometimes you may want that certain code is only executed, for example, hello, you might want that this code is only executed when this script is executed directly, as in run functions. So we get hello here, right? And so maybe you don't want to execute that hello when you run main.py, but still you get that executed. So how do you avoid executing that line when you import? There is a way to do that actually, and that is to put this line into a conditional block. But first of all, why would you want to execute this only when you import that function? Well, maybe you just want to print out get to do's, right? You want to test the function output, so you get that, but you don't want to see that when you run main. But again, main.py will also return that output of the function call get to do's. So we only want to see that when we execute this code directly. Maybe we are testing these functions out, so we just want to work on this functions.py. So the solution, as I told you, is to have an if conditional block. And you say if underscore name underscore underscore is equal, so double assignment operator is equal to quotes, open and close, underscore underscore main underscore underscore, and then you put here a colon, and then these should be indented under that. Let me make a break line. So that's the if conditional. Now if I run the script, functions.py, again I get that executed and that as well, as you see the output in here and there. But if I execute main.py now, you see that these two lines were not executed. We don't have that code in here. These are executed, so the functions are defined when we import functions, and these functions definitions are available here. So everything that is outside that if conditional, such as this print function, is executed. If I execute main.py, we'll see that we get that output because it's outside of that if conditional block. Now, what is this if conditional block? What does it do actually? Well, we have a variable here. This is a variable, but it is a variable which is defined hiddenly by Python, and its value, and I'll show you what value this name variable has. So let me print that here. So print name, and I'll execute this script functions.py, and that is the value of name. This is a string. So if you check the type of the value of the variable name, you'll see that it's a string, and its value is main. So that is a string, but its value is main only when we execute functions.py directly, run functions. If you execute main.py, you'll see that the value of name is functions. So we get that printed out from that line. So to sum it up, when you run main.py and main.py runs functions.py through that import statement, then the value of name is the name of that file, functions in this case. But when you run functions.py directly, the value of that variable is underscore underscore main underscore underscore, and that allows us to have this condition here. So if name is equal to that string main, that means somebody is running this script directly, and that somebody, which is us, that somebody wants these lines to be executed. Otherwise, if I'm being imported, the file says, then I will not execute this because my name is not main, is something else. So that is the distinction we can make to control what we execute when the file is run directly and what we execute when the file is run indirectly through this import statement. This can have practical uses in certain scenarios, especially when you build web applications. So in that case, you might want to use that to have different outputs when you test the code and so on. So that's something you should know, and I hope it makes sense. You'll see this if name is equal to main in other people's code, and this is actually one of the most asked questions on the internet about Python. People ask, what is if name is equal to main? I hope this makes sense to you and you don't have the same question later on. Thanks a lot, see you later.